of a number one and a standing ovation. Wayne, congratulations to you. I mean, I think the general feeling was that, yes, you know, Wayne Carey will probably be our number one. But now that you've heard it, what's your first reaction?
Before I start, I would like to say it's been a big week for the footy club. I was there last night with Channel 7 and I'd like to congratulate, there's Reece there. Hey Reece, right behind you mate. Well done. That's our future coach right there, and I know he'll get behind exactly what is in this room tonight. And I tell you what, I came here tonight, Sandy, with my beautiful partner Jess, and I was because these things are subjective. Let's be honest. There's a panel and Croc was involved, so so Blighty, you should have been higher than 6. Don't worry about that. But it's subjective, and then you sit there and talk about humbling. I mean, seriously, I don't often get nervous anymore, and then you sit down there and you watch everyone come up and speak, and you just sit there and go, wow, you know, what a group. So yeah, look, like the other guy said, it's just very humbling to be standing here, and I mean that. I mean that. It's easy to say, but it's from the heart.
Yeah. You played in one of the club's most famous eras, there's no doubt about that. Do you look back now and appreciate how good those teams were?
Yeah, but I ran into Matty Larkin, and I see Ben Buckley sitting now, who's now our chairman, and Peter German, who didn't want me at the club, said I was trouble. And you're right. But Matty Larkin was an absolute champion of the footy club, 3 B&Fs, and superstar. They were the pioneers for us, and we're a young and up and coming group. And all credit to people like Ron Joseph and Greg Miller and others that started to recruit in all different areas and got us from country areas and interstate, and bought us off the Sydney Swans, Johnny Longmire and myself and everyone else, and we built this young team that invariably became a very powerful team. And if it wasn't for Dennis Pagan, who, let's be honest, we had a bit of lad about us, that 90s team, that we liked a good time off, but we trained very hard on, and we had a great era. But if it wasn't for the leadership of Dennis Pagan, I honestly don't believe we would have done anything. So I give all credit to Dennis.
Well, that's interesting. You won an under-19 flag under Dennis, didn't you? Yeah. Yep. So just how great was his influence on Wayne Carey?
Oh, look, I say this, I reckon every footy trip, and I say this, and Dennis, I think I've said this to you, so I hope I'm not telling you anything, but we often would go on a footy trip and sit there and go, how can we get rid of this bloke? He's too tough. He drove you, and if it wasn't for Dennis Pagan, like I said, we wouldn't have been the team we were, and I wouldn't have been the player that I was without him. He knew exactly what, little needles to give at the right time, and he was brilliant at it, and hence that's why 7 consecutive prelims. Only 2 grand finals. I reckon we fell short by at least 1. Yeah, but you look at the great teams over the years. I look at Richmond right now, and they've been the best team for the last 2. They've only won 1. Yeah. They're looking okay again this year, but who knows? So, it takes a little bit of luck to win them. We're lucky enough to win 2 during the 90s, so very, very happy with that.
I spoke to David Dench about his captaincy as the youngest captain. He went through a reasonably tough period. You are the second youngest at 21 and a number of days. How did you handle the captaincy?
Well, because we were such a young group, I remember when Dennis first called me, mobile phones went out. Sorry, Jess, my partner, the mobile phones went out then. So he had to ring on the house phone. I remember he called me and said, I want you to be captain. And Shimmer, by the way, I have to acknowledge Wayne Schimmelbusch, because Shimmer came down, and he was my senior, not my first senior coach. I played a few under Kanga. Kanga never spoke to me, but Shimmer did. But Shimmer gave me some words of advice, and he came down and spoke to me before the under-19 grand, not to me, but to the whole group. And those words have stuck with me forever, and so I've got to thank Shimmer for that. What was the question again?
The captaincy.
The captaincy. So when Dennis called and said, "We want you to be captain," I remember thinking, because Shimmer used to let me go home to Wagga, and he'd say, "You can go home to Wagga, you train hard, come back pre-season, everything's okay." And Dennis said, "That's going to stop." And I said, "Well, stuff the captaincy then. I'd rather be vice." And he said, "No, everyone's going to do the same thing. We all train, we're all there at the same time and everything else." And I said, "Okay, you know what, Dennis, I'll accept the captaincy." And luckily enough, we're a good young group and we all grew together. And, you know, the captaincy when you're having success is very easy. It's when you're not. And that's why, you know, my captaincy was blessed, because straight away, well, for the first 8 years, I think it was, we played finals and premierships and everything else. So I can't complain. So, Dennis, great decision.
Wayne, you've had a glittering career. You've been an absolute champion, not only of this club but of the game. But tonight you've been named the #1 player over 150 years at North Melbourne Football Club. Congratulations.
Good on you, Sammy. Thank you.
Wayne Carey.